Okay, before I get the main video started, I'm going to insert this bit of footage here. You can look below and I list the time signatures as to where each portion of the video starts and stops, because I think the entire last 17 minutes of the test you may want to see, but there was a pretty significant problem that I ran into, and that's why I have these two types of paper here. So I had to strop these because I just felt like there was a burr or there was something going on. However, as I was stropping them, no matter how fine I got the edge, I just felt like there was just still a problem with the performance of the cuts that were being made. And what was happening is I had switched over to this paper here, which is B&H catalog paper. And you can see it's a little bit glossy and it's a little heavier weight. So with the stainless knife, you can see it's just kind of, it's not cutting. Sometimes it'll cut okay, but it's still kind of choppy. It's not performing like I would expect a knife that I sharpened on the wicked edge and then spend another 20-30 minutes stropping to cut. So you can see the chrome vanadium, it's performing pretty well, but again, this is not how this knife was performing earlier, and you'll see that in the testing. But again, it's not necessarily cutting quite as well as you would expect. So I had to go back and dig and find some more of this type of paper, and this is the chrome vanadium and regular phone book paper, and you can see it's cutting this no problems whatsoever. So I think the problem that I ran into was paper related and not related to the edge of the knife, because you can see here that's doing just fine and this is doing just fine. But I'm going to upload the entire video and I'll let you watch that, and please feel free to make comments, tell me what you think. If there's something I can do better, let me know. But after switching back to the yellow page paper, I noticed that both of these knives were performing the way that I expected them to. So watch the video for what it is. Enjoy it. I appreciate the support. Please comment below. Thank you. Okay, if you've been following along on my YouTube channel for a while, you'll know that this knife has made quite a few appearances, and I've talked about it a good bit. There's a reason for that. No, I'm not a case guy, but this pattern and this knife has been growing on me, and I knew that because I kind of liked the pattern and it was something I felt like I could at least live with, meaning I still have not changed my opinion on GEC knives, and that I think GEC knives are the best current production traditional knives that you can spend your money on. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think that's why they're more expensive. However, this being a knife that I felt like I could live with, I could deal with as an alternative to a GEC knife, I really started looking at the knife, and I knew I didn't like the stainless steel, and that was going to be one of the things I didn't care for on this knife, just in general. Now you'll know that there's some kind of a debate between the two different steels, chrome vanadium and stainless steel in case knives. I'm not making that argument right now. What I'm saying is, in general, I do not prefer stainless steels. I will use them. They're okay. I have no major gripe against them, but if I can get a tool steel, a carbon steel, that's the steel that I'm gonna pick up. So in my search, I happened to run across this knife, which is it's not a special factory order, but it's something it's an exclusive is what I believe they called it. It is it is a Shepherd Hills exclusive knife from Case. So you'll see that this knife has the stainless steel designation right here, and you'll notice that this knife has the CV designation, which stands for chrome vanadium, right here. So that's the main difference between these two knives. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen both of these knives up on my wicked edge. That should give me two knives on the same platform with just different steels. I don't think it's going to be a scientific test, but I do think that this is going to be something that will give me an idea of, in the real world, what is the difference between Case's chrome vanadium and their True Sharp stainless steel. So that's what's going to take place in this video. I'm not gonna run through the entire process of me sharpening because that's going to take way too long. It's already going to take a good bit to cut through these boxes and everything. But this knife I have already sharpened on a DMT diamond stone, and then some ceramic Spyderco stones, and then finally on a strop. This knife has a factory edge, so the first thing I'm going to have to do is go in and reprofile both of these knives. Now, I do think that that's something, and I don't know if it's a problem, if it's something with Case knives, but if you have owned knives long enough, especially it seems like modern folders, it seems like the original edge, sometimes as you remove more steel, you get into a better part of the steel, or the actual the part of the steel that is heat treated the best, or has not been altered by the grinding process of sharpening the blade. So I don't know if this knife already being previously sharpened on a stone and removing a little bit more steel, now it was minimal, I just barely apexed the edge, is going to make any difference between this knife not being sharpened at all, then me going in and sharpening this knife and it not having as much steel removed. But that'll remain to be seen. I'll run you guys through the cutting portion when I get the knife sharpened up. Thank you. I'll catch you in a minute. All right. Looks like I've got the True Sharp stainless sharpened to some extent. Now, what I noticed is that the burr that's on here is hard to remove with these diamonds. So I'm actually going to pull this off of here and clean up the blade, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it across a strop. Now, I had heard about this problem, but as you'll see, this is finished up to 600 grit. I started with 400, went up to 600, and it is sharp, plenty sharp, but it definitely can be sharper. So I'm going to be taking this off of here in a second, and I'm going to be putting it on a strop and cleaning up this edge a bit, cleaning the burr off that edge. Then I'll get back with you guys. All right, so I cleaned the knife up off the wicked edge using my the black side of my flex strop, and it's not the best edge I've ever done, but I think you'll see that it's capable for what I want to do. Oops. The only thing that I want to do is have a working edge that's going to be able to cut these boxes. So I didn't sharpen this. It's not super polished. It's not super refined. This is not something that you're gonna, not your typical wicked edge. And I don't know if you can see that there, but you can see it's not super polished and super refined. This is a working edge, a toothy edge. All right, this is the chrome vanadium Case tribal lock, and you can see the burr. Well, let me show you. If you compare this to the stainless steel version, I don't really think there's too much of a comparison. Off of the stones from the wicked edge, this is much sharper. You can see there, it just eats through that paper. However, I am going to still run this over the black strop just to keep things as comparable as possible. But this here was, the burr still stuck on a little bit longer than I'm used to the burr sticking on to my knives when I apex them. However, like I said, this burr was completely able to be removed using the 400 and 600 grit stones on my wicked edge, whereas the burr on this knife you all saw was still on there, and I had to run it over a strop. And this knife feels much sharper already. So I'll report back in just a second when we get ready to start the cut test. So what I'm gonna do, hopefully do, let me move the camera again, is I'm gonna start with, hold on, let me adjust the camera. All right, I'm gonna start with 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is all 6 from this stack. I'm going to put that over here on the table, and I'm gonna just start cutting away. I'm gonna start with my stainless steel version. So that's exactly 10 cuts, and I'm cutting across these grooves here, which I hope you can see. And now what I'm going to do after 10 is I will check to see it's still, it still seems like it's cutting the phone book paper okay. So we'll have to see. Yeah, it's still cutting it okay. So we'll have to keep cutting and see what happens. So that's 10 more cuts. So let's pick up some more paper. That was a little bit of a rough cut, but it's still cutting nonetheless. So we're up to a total of 20 cuts, and we're still doing all right on the catalog paper cutting. It's not great, but it's doing okay. Yeah, it's hanging up a little bit. So let's do 10 more cuts. So it still easily cuts through the cardboard, but will it cut through? It's kind of tearing the paper now. It's doing an okay job. Let me grab some more. Let me grab some more paper real quick. Sorry about that. So we've got another side here. I'm going to do another 10 cuts, and then we'll check for sharpness. Alright, so that's 10 cuts. Get a new piece of paper. It's cutting okay, but it's not what it was. So it will still cut though. It'll cut, but it's not doing that well. So let's cut 10 more times. All right, so that should bring us up to a total of 40 if my count is correct. And as you can imagine, the blade is getting warm. I'm gonna wipe this off too because I'm cutting through everything. I'm cutting through the tape, I'm cutting through the double portions of the cardboard, everything. So let me wipe it off so that doesn't skew the test. It cuts, but It cuts, but it's not cutting incredibly well. So let's do, I think that's going to be about it. Let's do 10 more cuts. That's 10 more cuts. And another piece of catalog paper. So, it's doing okay. So that's 50 cuts. Let's use the strop a little bit and see if we can't return some of this finish to the edge. All right, that was 10 passes on both sides. Let's see where we're at now. All right, you can hear. Oops, you can hear it's brought it up to a much sharper, sharper edge. So I don't know what to think about that. It's cutting a lot better. I don't know. Let's cut 10 more pieces and let's see what happens. So that's 10 more. And that should bring us up to 60, if I'm not mistaken. And you can hear it's kind of tearing that paper again. I mean, it cuts if you get it on a good spot. But I don't know. It's almost like that burr is still there, but I don't see it. It feels sharp to the touch, but it's kind of tearing this paper. So I'm gonna run this 10 more times on either side and see if I can't get some of this burr off of here. All right, let's try that out. I mean, again, it feels like running it on that strop is sharpening the edge up some. So I'm really thinking that there has to be some burr left on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually run this on the strop some more and see if I can't get that burr off of here, because I can't see it and I can't feel it, but clearly it's on here. Let's do this. Let's run it on this. I'm going to cut into this bare piece of leather. So hoping that might knock off any burr, if there is a burr there. So let's see. Let's try that out. No, the edge is still a little bit iffy. Yeah, the edge is definitely still a bit iffy. So I'm gonna say that this the problem with this is my sharpening, and maybe I didn't remove all of that burr. I'm gonna actually work on this one a little bit more and come back to this knife. So I'm gonna switch over to the to the carbon steel version, and let's see how that goes. All right, so here's the carbon steel version, and same thing, we'll do 10 cuts, then we'll test the edge on the phone book, on the catalog paper, and then we'll see how it is. So that's the first 10 cuts. And I don't know. It's all gummed up here, so give me a second. All right, let's try it again. Oh yeah, it's cutting just fine. Where it's getting hung up at is where there's some glue on the blade there. I think you can see. I'll have to work on that as we go along. So 10 more cuts. So that's 10 more cuts for a total of 20. And we'll try this edge out. I don't know. Give me a second. Let me grab some rubbing alcohol and a rag. So I'm just gonna wipe this knife off and try to remove anything that's on the edge of the knife. That glue is really on there. All right, I think that's good enough. So let's try this again. No, it's still not doing the best. Let's see. Let's cut a little bit more cardboard and see where we're at. Well, the camera died after those last 10 cuts. It's not really cutting. It's not really cutting this all that well. There are a few catches, it feels, in the edge. There are a few catches, kind of like the stainless steel. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's run it on the strop a little bit. Okay, now, and I'm going to have to switch back over to the other knife to kind of see how it cuts this paper, but I had to get some new catalog paper, which, as you can tell, has a slight gloss to it. So it's a little bit heavier than the other stuff, which you would think would cause this to cut better, but actually it seems like it's doing worse. Yeah, it's just kind of about mid blade, it's just kind of gumming up. Let's wipe this off real quick. Okay, and I'm just rubbing this off with wiping alcohol, by the way. So I'm just trying to evaporate it pretty quick. Let's grab another piece of this catalog paper and see if it does a better job now. Nope. No, not really. Honestly, I think this is doing worse. But to make sure that that comparison is equal, let's use the same paper. So I'm switching back to the stainless version. And this blade is, as you can tell, it is clean. So I don't have to worry about it being any stuff on the edge. No, this doesn't seem to be doing so well. This doesn't seem to be doing so well. I don't really know what that says. It cuts through the cardboard just fine, but it seems to be having trouble with the phone book paper and the catalog paper that I've been using. So I don't know if that's I don't think that's my sharpening. Not with both of the knives performing the same. And you saw how they cut before, so let me try a few more times. Let's try cutting real slow. You know, it's almost like there's just a catch in the middle there somewhere. Right around there. Yeah, it just feels like there's a catch, but it does seem to just continue to cut cardboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 more cuts. And let's see. It's like it's just wrecking that edge. I don't know. It feels sharp. Let's see. No, it's not cutting any hair. So I don't know what that is. Well, it cut a few hairs, but it's not shaving sharp. Huh. Very interesting. Let's see. Let's run it on the strop a little bit more. All right, so that's 20 times on each side. And I'm going to clean it off with some rubbing alcohol. And it still feels sharp. And it feels sharp if I run my finger this way or if I run this finger this way. So that's why I can't believe that there's still a burr on here, because usually what will happen if there is a burr, when you run your thumb on one side of the knife like this, you'll feel what feels to be sharp, but then when you run your thumb on the other side of the edge, it won't feel sharp. So I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, guys. I really am speechless. Seems like the stainless isn't doing any better. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say.